Hey Witch, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I feel like I say this in every video, and I always start out with the same introduction. I'm back. Hi, hello. I hope you've been good. Uh, it's been a weird time, but I am here today to discuss what it was like growing up witchy. So I'm just gonna get right into it. So when I was growing up, I was always like the odd one out. I always felt completely alienated from literally everyone around me. I always knew that I was like different, and the other kids knew I was different too. They would never let me forget that. They were like, hey, you're gay, you're weird, you're poor, so what are you doing here? Like, I went to the same school from preschool all the way up until senior year of high school. It was a Baptist Christian school, and it was full of a lot of like rich Barbie doll types that I did not fit in with at all, and they would always let me know. But I always knew I was different. I was always like really sensitive and feminine, obviously. But yeah, I never really understood why I was so different from the other kids until I like grew into my adult self and started realizing it's not because like you're wrong, it's just because you navigate this world in a different way than they ever will. Salem is also distracting me. Story break. She's fighting. Love me. Thank you. Okay, goodbye. So it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized kind of where my sensitivities were coming from. I feel other people's energies so intensely that it feels like this pressure cooker, like condensing me into this little ball, and that's why I shrivel up. That's why I have posture issues. That's why I always feel like a lack of self-confidence, because I feel everybody's energy and expectations weighing on me at all times. It's why I don't like to go out in public by myself. I don't like large crowds. I don't like movie theaters because like sitting with all those people all at once is just too much. Yeah, so growing up, that was really hard for me because I always wanted to be friends with other kids, but I just felt too, like I just felt their stank doo-doo energy all around me. And I just didn't want to be a part of that. I didn't want anything to do with it. And luckily, I did find a couple really, really close friends that I still have to this day, one of whom I live with now, which is amazing. We've been friends for almost 20 years now. But yeah, I just never fit in with the other kids, and I always wanted to know why. I wanted to know why I was born so different, so weird. And it's not until I grew into my fully realized witchy self that I finally understood why I never fit into that crowd the entire time growing up. But I also wanted to share some of my like more funny, I guess they're not all funny, but some of my stories like of the witchy things that I used to do growing up that led to what I do now today. So the first one is kind of funny. I don't know the age range of my audience very well. But if you guys remember the movie Matilda, I remember watching that movie and immediately wanting to be telekinetic. I'm sure everyone who watched that movie wanted to have telekinesis after that movie because it was amazing. But yeah, I remember going on Google with my little elementary school self and going like, how to be telekinetic? And reading this article that told me to place a single grain of salt on the table and focus all your intent on that grain of salt and you'll move it. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm ready. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be telekinetic. I'm gonna move this freaking grain of salt. I tried so hard. I tried for hours. I would stare at that grain of salt like, it would never move. Never. Not once. Not even a little bit. And then eventually I would just go like, I did it! But yeah, I wanted to be telekinetic so bad. And then, I mean, like growing up, we had this giant nature preserve behind our house. We weren't technically supposed to go into it, but we did anyway. Like, why wouldn't you? But I would always like run around in the forest pretending to be like one of the Neopets fairies. Like I always wanted to be like the earth fairy or the fire fairy or whatever. I don't know if you guys remember the Neopets fairies. I was a child of the internet, so I was always on Neopets. Tangent, unnecessary. But we always pretended to be the fairies. We always wanted to be like little creatures, spirits. I don't know. We were just running around being a mess in the forest and pretending we were magical creatures. And then I do remember my first ever experience with divination. It was actually in high school, and this is not a funny story. It's kind of actually really sad. So, in middle school and high school, I went through a really horrible bout of like crippling depression. When I tell you I was depressed, I was so depressed to the point where I could not sleep in my own room alone. I had to sleep on the floor of my parents' bedroom because I could not bear the thought of being alone for only a minute because I thought I was really gonna die. I really did. I was in a very, very dark place because, again, I grew up not fitting in with anyone around me. I didn't have the support that these other kids had. I didn't have, like, my parents always loved me, and I'm so grateful and thankful for them because I acknowledge that not everybody has that, and that breaks my heart. So if you ever need someone to lean on, I'm always here for you. Please message me on Instagram. That's the best place to reach me. Tangent. But yeah, so I was going through a lot of that, and I remember being in study hall one day, and I was sitting on the tile floor. Like I always sat on the floor for some reason. I don't know why. But me and my best friend were sitting in study hall together, and I remember reaching for the Bible. The Bible was my first divination tool, believe it or not. So I remember praying to God. I was like, please give me a sign, give me a message that I need to hear right now. I'm on the brink of some dark shit. Let's just put it that way. And I need help, I need guidance. And I remember opening the Bible to a random page. I could not tell you what book, what verse it was, but I remember pointing, like opening the book and pointing and reading that verse, and then all of a sudden it was just like waterworks just pouring down my face. I was sobbing, and my friend was like, "Are you okay? Like what is happening?" And I was like, I just needed that message so much, and it was truly an amazing experience. And that's kind of, it's so hard for me to, like, I don't have a full understanding of God. I honestly don't think any human on this planet fully understands God, but I feel like God, the universe, life, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is always there no matter what religion you're practicing or what spirituality or anything like that. I believe that that force is always behind you to support you and lift you up when you need it. And yeah, I just remember reading that verse, and it just like a light just like shining through my life. I do remember going back to that specific verse later in time and being like, wow, this doesn't make sense at all, but I'm glad I got the message I needed to in the time. But that divination technique is called bibliomancy. You can do it with any book. You can just take a book right off your shelf, whatever book is calling to you, open to a random page, read the passage, and if it resonates with you, then that's the message that you were meant to hear. And it really, truly worked for me in that time. My first ever divination practice that I ever tried. And then, yeah, that led to me reading tarot cards later. Ooh, tarot cards. That led to, okay. That led to me reading tarot cards later in life. That led to me practicing scrying with water. If you want a video on different divination techniques, I would love to do that because divination is one of my favorite practices in the craft. Excuse me, I just ate a quesadilla. Oh, I'll be right back. But for those of you who have stuck around this long, I do have a new surprise. If you follow me on Instagram, you have already seen these. But I have created little honeycomb ones. I hope you can see, but each of them has a different crystal on them. This one is gold quartz, and they have a chain with a little bee on the end, and you can use them as a wand or you can use them as a pendulum. So these are available on my Etsy. So far I have these 4 made, and 3 of them have already sold out. So this one is the only one left, and this one is Tiger's Eye. You can't really tell, but I will have so many more coming soon. I already have the crystals to make more. I have all the supplies to make more, so they'll be coming very soon. I want to thank you guys so freaking much for your support over the past however long that we've been doing this together, you know? I don't know where I would be without all of you. I would be starved to death probably because your girl's unemployed still after losing my job for the coronavirus. Thanks, Corona. But yeah, just thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for your encouraging words when I needed it the most. I still need it, honestly. But I'm okay. I'm okay. I just want to make sure that all of you are okay. So like I said earlier in the video, if you ever need someone to lean on, I am here for you. I love you. Even if I don't know you, I fucking love you. I shouldn't say that, but I just did. A little grooming, Miss Thing? You're nasty. Come say hello. Everybody misses you. Cute. Anyway, until next time, I will spell you later.